Welcome to this edition of Valor Media. This is episode number 94 for November 22nd, 2021, and I'm your host, Mark Appenzeller. And today you're joining me for part one of a two-part series that I'll be concluding 2 weeks from now. I wanted to talk about something that involves kind of reflecting on things. And that's a timely topic as we are nearing the end of November and 2021 is rapidly slipping through our fingers. Now, I know that there's still a little bit of the year left, but I'm the type of person who, right after Thanksgiving, starts getting very self-reflective. And I begin to ask myself a lot of tough questions about the year that's winding down. Did I accomplish what I set out to way back when the year was young? And if I didn't, why didn't I? Now, I think questions like that are very important to ask on a personal level, but we can ask them on a vocational level as well. With whatever we do to earn a living, whatever our business is about, whether we're self-employed or work in a company, work in an agency or a nonprofit or a church, it's good to ask, did we reach the goals that we set out when we started this year? Did we fall short? Did we slip off the path and wind up down some bunny trail and now we're 5 miles from where we should be? I think if you can ask questions like that, you can really help yourself to get properly calibrated. And I want to touch a little bit on that in this two-part series, the idea of asking the right questions, the idea of having the right goals. See, I'm not the type of person to do New Year's resolutions. I did when I was younger, but to me, it's kind of pointless. I know that if I have 10 resolutions that I make near the end of December, by January 5th, 9 of them will have evaporated into thin air. So I'm less interested in resolving to do things. I don't want to go after the big, huge prize. I'd rather have 100 small wins. Now, I'm not selling myself short. I'm not aiming low, but I would rather focus on attainable, reachable things that I can do because then they also carry with them the added benefit of being mileposts. So I can actually tell if I'm making progress. And if I'm not, I'll know right away and I can make some sort of course correction. So I'm kind of aiming these 2 episodes at 2 different groups of people. Either people who are already established in what they're doing and are just looking to do it more effectively and efficiently, or people who want to try something completely new. Maybe that describes you. Maybe you have a great new idea for a small business, or maybe it really lays heavily on your heart to start a nonprofit. And that's something you hope to accomplish as you move into 2022. Those are both great goals. You will hear me talk many times over about the importance of framing what you do with a mission statement and a vision statement. That can kind of sound a little bit corny, but there really is a lot of value in that. A mission statement is really just a short, concise encapsulation of what you're trying to do right now. And a vision statement is what you hope to be doing 3 years from now. How do you want your current efforts to morph and develop and mature? The one keeps you grounded in the now, the other gives you a roadmap for practically moving forward. But along with having that vision, sometimes folks have a grandiose vision. I think they get caught up in the, wow, I could do this. And maybe you could. But if you don't have the ability to dissect what this is all about, you might be kind of shooting yourself in the foot. You know, according to data that was compiled in the year 2018, only about 1 in 3 small businesses end up surviving for a decade or more. Wow, that is a mind blower. So that means somebody starting a new business really only has about a 33% success rate. And sometimes that's a critical component too, a small business. If you're starting out trying to initiate some new business pursuit, whether it's a nonprofit or a small business, a company, whatever you want to do, you may not have a lot of funding. It may be only you and maybe one other person. And so you're starting with a lot of things you're trying to accomplish and not a lot of resources to get you there. That can also come into play. Back in 2016, the U.S. Small Business Administration compiled some data about what they classify as a micro business, which is fewer than 10 employees. And back then, 5 years ago, they said that 74.8% of all private sector employers were micro businesses. Now, that number has certainly changed over the years, and we have an entirely new dynamic now. Over the last year and a half, we've seen the whole idea of doing things remotely transform the way we do business. But the fact is there are many, many people either trying to maintain an existing small business or start a brand new one that are facing a lot of challenges. And one of the biggest challenges can be really having that proper perspective, not biting off more than you can chew, and not presuming that that lofty goal will be easy to reach. Now, I entitled today's episode, Some Assembly Required. If you're a parent, at some point, those words have probably sent terror into your heart. And I have a vivid memory of when our son was 12 years old. That Christmas, he was getting one large gift, and for whatever reason, the one thing he was just dying to get was a basketball game called Bank Shot. I think he saw it in a store somewhere. And it was basically a tubular metal frame. It had a fiberboard backdrop with 2 basketball hoops. There was netting that ran down the sides and kind of a vinyl trough that was like a ball return. There was an electronic scorekeeping device built into it, and you could do it as either a solo or a 2-player game. The basketballs themselves were probably about 1/3 normal size, and the goal was to either try to see as many baskets as you could make in 1 minute or to play against an opponent and reach different goals. Well, he was so thrilled and excited when he got that game. He immersed himself in it on Christmas Day, and he played it pretty steadily for a while. But as is always the case with toys, it began to lose some of its allure. And probably by March of that year, he only played with it occasionally. Now, if he was in the basement helping with laundry or doing something else down there, he would come over sometimes, turn it on, and shoot baskets for a while. But as he got older, the times that he did that were few and far between. And eventually it would be something that he would do almost absent-mindedly. We would be down there and he would just sort of walk over, not even turn the game on anymore, but pick up a basketball and just shoot it at the hoop. It's ironic. I remember that Christmas Eve, and I remember assembling that thing was a pain in the neck. It seemed like there were 500 little nuts and bolts and washers, all kinds of things to plug in and align. I remember it just being not the most pleasant assembly experience in the world, but for him it didn't matter. Because when he saw that on Christmas morning, it wasn't a case of going through and analyzing how all the pieces went together. He just knew that he loved what he saw. He dived into that thing and immersed himself in it. Now, many years later, after he had grown up, graduated high school and college, moved away, he still remembered the basketball game. And one time I asked him if he wanted us to keep it. We were cleaning things out of the basement. I figured he would never use it again. And his response was, "Oh no, I really want that. Please keep it. Please keep it." Well, so what I ended up doing was disassembling it. The interesting thing was this was years after it had first been put together. And it kind of refreshed my memory of just how involved this project was. I was kind of reverse engineering it, taking everything apart. I separated all of the tubular frame. I stacked the components neatly, and I put all of the hardware into individually labeled Ziploc bags. And what's funny is when he came home not too long after that and was looking through everything, he asked me about some missing piece that was there. Years ago, when he first saw it, he wasn't looking at individual pieces, and he had absolutely no idea how much complexity went into putting that thing together to begin with. All he knew is that's what he wanted. It wasn't until years later, with a more mature perspective, that he really got looking at the nuts and bolts and discovered that something fell by the wayside somewhere. That long ago Christmas when he first got that thing, That was 16 years ago. He now lives in North Carolina, is married, and has a daughter of his own. And interestingly enough, it's still sitting in our basement. He'll get it someday, I'm sure. But the object lesson for me in that was, I think sometimes when we're either trying to do something grandiose in an organizational structure we already have, or we're trying to start a new business or a nonprofit and go out on this great quest, we get so wrapped up on the vision that we lose any sense of practicality. We don't know how to frame what we're doing. And just like he was that long ago Christmas, we only see the finished product. And we fail to understand that there are many, many, many interlocking pieces. It's not until we can actually disassemble it and look at what it took to put it together that we have any real appreciation. And with our businesses, that's really the key, either to starting a new one or to growing one we already have. We have to know how to disassemble them. We have to be able to appreciate what it takes to develop a structure that will enable us to grow, to reach out into new areas, to develop things that were impossible last year. And that can be a really overwhelming place to find yourself. Maybe that's where you are today. So ask yourself that as 2021 is winding down. Do you want to do something more in your organization or business in 2022? Or do you want to start a new organization or business or nonprofit as the new year arrives? Maybe you do, but you find yourself only with this scant idea of what it is you're going after. It can be really overwhelming, it can be daunting, and it can be enough to take the wind out of your sails to where you don't even try. It really does come down to some assembly required. Don't just get excited by the vision. It isn't the completed thing all bolted together. The reality is, somebody has to put all those pieces together, and that somebody is you. If that describes where you find yourself today, and you want to do more, you want to reach for something, but you simply don't know where to start, Valor can help. We have a division of Valor Ministries called Valor Excel, and basically the purpose of it is for us to be able to bring our expertise in the fields of training, designing, and consulting so that we can help you figure out the pieces that need to be bolted together to get you where you want to go. We have an extensive knowledge base, and we can come in and work directly with you to help dissect the processes you're currently working in or to help you develop the ones you need to put into place to reach for whatever your business goals are. If you'd like to get a better perspective on what we could do to help you reach your business goals, please contact us at info@valorexcel.com. To get a better understanding of the services we offer and how we can be of assistance to you, you can visit our website, www.valorexcel.com, and you can also find us on Facebook at Valor Excel. Maybe you're somebody looking to start a new nonprofit in 2022, and you have absolutely no idea how you're going to fund that venture. There's a pretty high probability that grants will come into play. Valor Excel has a fantastic resource for you. Face Your Fears. It's a grant writing workshop that was developed by our executive director, Lori Riston, and it walks you through all the complexities of finding and writing relevant grants to fund your mission. You can find it on www.valorexcel.com under Training. If you have questions, comments, or suggestions for future episodes of the Valor Media podcast, please reach out to us at media@thevalorcenter.org. Please like and subscribe to this podcast. We publish new episodes each Monday. I also encourage you to learn more about the overall mission of Valor Ministries by visiting us at www.thevalorcenter.org or on Facebook at Valor Ministries. And if the Valor Media podcast is beneficial to you, would you consider benefiting us by financially assisting us so that we can continue to bring you this kind of content? If so, you can make your tax-deductible donation securely online by visiting www.thevalorcenter.org and clicking on the Donate button. Or you can send a check or money order to Valor Ministries, 324 East Antietam Street, Suite 104, Hagerstown, Maryland, 21740. Thanks again for joining me for today's episode of Valor Media. Please come back next week when your host will be Lori Riston, and visit with me again 2 weeks from now as we continue our conversation. Until then, thanks again, and remember, you were made to thrive.